Nice. You timed that perfectly.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Right? Yeah. Here we are.
Look at that. Everyone shows up at the same time. JT,
Well, yep.
Bill Jenkins, Thomas Irvin, Bill Bradley, Andy Middleton. Our usual suspects.
Yes. Welcome to the show, everyone.
This is episode 85. Yeah.
85 of Snakes and Stogies. I didn't know if you were going to do the intro. I was like, fuck it. I'll just jump in.
Joe Rosa. We never know.
Yeah, we never know.
We're very formal here. If anyone hasn't figured that out, we have no idea what we're doing.
The utmost of professionalism. But
work for me.
Tonight, we're joined by a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, Mr. Louis Caraballo of Birds and Exotics of the World.
What's up, man? How's everybody doing?
Good, man. Good. Glad to have you on.
This is gonna,
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, man. Dude, I love that background.
I'm not a bird guy, but...
we got some reptiles, too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Some of my little stuff that I have here. That painting you see up there, the timber rattlesnake, that is an original painting of the... it's an old book that says rattlesnakes in the front. I forgot the name of it. But that's an original painting. We have a harpy eagle. Here it's a harpy eagle feather that I have. Some of my little memorabilia stuff that throughout the years I've accumulated.
Nice.
Well, I'll preface it by because Billy Jenkins said birds are cool, but they're not his thing. It's birds of prey. And we're not talking about like parakeets.
Yeah. I don't have no parakeets or toucans. I appreciate them, but that's just not what I do.
Yeah. Well, before we get jumping into it, tonight's show and all of Snakes and Stogies is brought to you by the fine people at Puget Sound Pythons. The Gendra.
Right here in the corner.
Check them out, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere social media can be found.
And if you'll be at Daytona, they'll be there too.
Yes, they will.
Nice.
Louis, you're going to come to Daytona?
Unfortunately, I won't be in Daytona. I will be in Georgia doing some work with bears.
Oh, all right. Awesome.
So the last day of that gig is the 21st, which is in the middle of Daytona. So fortunately, this year I won't make it.
Well, you will be missed, my friend. So
yeah, it sucks. It's a good time. It's a good time out there.
Yeah, man. So, Justin, what are you smoking tonight?
I just lit up an Opus X. This is just the Robusto. So we released issue 22 of Herpetoculture magazine today, and so every time I drop a new issue, I go out and get me something bougie. And that's my like breather of finally it's done, it's out the door. I can kick back for at least a couple days until I have to start issue 23. So
I love it.
I've been waiting to smoke this all day long. And
dude, I mean, yeah, I'm biased towards Venomous, but that cover, man, that cover is fantastic.
Yeah. There's a guy down in I think Veracruz who took that picture. Found him on Instagram. That's how I find a lot of the cover photographers, honestly, is search the species that we have the feature on, look for professional-looking, high-res quality photos, and message them and see if they're willing to let us use it. So,
well, awesome. Yeah, it panned out very well. I'm very, very happy with it. So
Derek did a great job on that article too. I really, I haven't done one of the HM highlights, like the little short 5-10 minute videos where I interview someone who did a piece in, the latest issue, but I want to do one of those on the Ophriechus with Derek for sure. Just got to figure out when he can do it.
Nice. Good stuff. Yeah, man, his animals are just tip top specimens. I mean, legit textbook,
It's such a cool species that's really unknown. Like a lot of people aren't privy to the fact that those even exist. They're really badass. But Louis, what are you keeping and working with right now? I guess in the world of herps.
In the world of herps, I have a little bit of everything. Like me and Phil have gone years back. He knows I have an obsession with eastern and timber rattlesnakes. So I have a few of those in my collection, venomous wise. The rest of the stuff is a lot of tortoises and turtles. And obviously the birds of prey. A few years ago, I used to do a lot of boas, breed a lot of boas, but took too much time, so I had to move from that to focus on my business with the birds and education and things like that. But I got just a little bit of everything. I'm all around for the presentations. Need to have variety. So
yeah, man, absolutely.
I'm very fortunate to have some what I think is some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, dude, 100%, man, 100%. And having seen your shows and seen you in action, dude, like it. There's a lot of people that they have a routine, they have a script, you know, they have animals that are maybe theirs, maybe not theirs, but like you
can tell they've done it a million times over and over again.
Right.
Like,
and
they're kind of just going through the motions. Sort of thing.
And that I can confidently say that is not the case with Lewis. Like legit bond with his animals. They know him, he knows them. Like, and it's never the same show, so to speak.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, all my birds I've raised since they were hatchings. All my animals born and raised in captivity. I've got them basically from the egg, raised them up around myself, and my young daughter helps me out raising them, so they get accustomed to what we're doing, so they're not really stressed or anything like that, and we just wing it. No pun intended.
Nice. And
every show is different, every crowd, age, energy is different, so it's one of those things where if it's scripted and something goes wrong, then what do you do there? You know what I mean? And I'd rather just go with the flow, have a good time. I enjoy it. It brings joy to me. So whatever happens.
I love it, man. It's great.
And for me personally, it makes it more realistic.
Yeah. And I think the beautiful thing too is that it's not just a grown dude working with these animals. You have your family involved, and so the animals are totally getting exposed to all different age ranges. So it doesn't matter if you're doing an elementary school or you're doing a college lecture hall or whatever. The animals they're used to it and they've acclimated appropriately. I think it's fantastic, man.
Yeah, I have an amazing family and staff that helps out a lot, does a lot, and without them, I wouldn't be able to. Yes, that was Leo who's getting anxious to come out. That I wouldn't be able to do what I do because it's a lot of work. Birds are very different than reptiles or some mammals where you can just train them once, teach them once, and then come back next week and you do it again. With these guys, it's every single day. You have to have some type of interaction with them. You have to be around. They just put in a cage and forget about it. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And the illusion of having them is pretty cool because we see it on TV and social media. It's like, oh, I got this and that, but it's a lot of work. It's very expensive. But we enjoy what we do, so it's not that bad.
So as far as the birds, like the birds of prey, though, like in terms of like intelligence in comparison to something like some of the parrots and stuff, I mean, are they pretty high up there, sort of in that same ballpark?
Well, when I look at intelligence of an animal, I don't think there's such thing as a wild dumb animal, right?
Right, because they'd all be dead.
They know how to survive without Facebook.
Yeah.
We can't. Right now,
so true.
Down 90% of this world just stare at each other like, what do we do, Mom?
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're intelligent. They're built to do a certain job, and to do that job, they're the best at it. Their job is not to do tricks or to figure puzzles or to log into something. Their job is to find their food, not get hurt, eat their food, and reproduce. So. Parrots are very intelligent. Also, they are social animals. So a lot of their behavior, in my opinion, has to do with being able to communicate with each other. On since most birds of prey are solitary animals, so they don't have to have the social skills, you could say, to be like, do things. I mean, they still have a vocabulary. They still know how to communicate with each other, obviously, but it's just two different worlds.
Well, I mean, obviously they have to be of a higher intelligence if you're training them to do things and stuff, right? Like their familiarity with you. Is there any of that going on?
They when it comes to that, they're smart. They know who I am. They'll know who you are. They'll know if there's something wrong with them. If you took anything or different setting, they know all that stuff. I mean, and different animals of the same species have completely different personalities, just like us. Leonidas, my eagle owl, the first one that I got, he's been around everywhere. You know, he was my first bird that I purchased for my baby by myself. I trained him by myself. He's put me where I'm at right now because of him. And every other week, he tries to train me to do something that he wants to do that I don't want to do. So, you know, they know what's going on. They know when they're home. They know when it's time to do a show. They know when we're on the road. They know when it's time to do different things. They know all that stuff. And you could read their body language. You know, if you're around them enough, you have to.
Yeah.
You learn what he's thinking, if he's gonna do it, if he's not gonna do it, if you know something is wrong. Perfect example of that. I have an auger buzzard that we're gonna see later on today, and he's a little bit of he's all over the place. I guess say he's not crazy, but he's just very curious of what's going on. We went out to do a show, and he started acting weird, very weird, looking around, you know, just not normal. I didn't know what was going on. The whole entire time, there was another bird of prey, a red shoulder hawk, in the distance that our eyes cannot see, and he knew he was doing.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as we were about to fly, I just happened to stop and be like, he's acting weird. Let me find out the environment to see what's going on. And one of my guys, he just goes, look what's over there in that tree. And we're like, oh, well, we're not flying. So that's his experience and time with them. And they know, although he's never seen that bird species before in his life, but he knows that that's not supposed to be around him. So that nature's still in their brains, even though they've been captivity the whole life.
That makes me think of one of my favorite photos is from our buddy Alan Stevens. One of his Aggies, he had it outside, and you can see it like there's an eye to the sky. And Alan said there was a plane flying over, and that Aggie was just like, he said it was just staring it down. It's funny because you can see it's just dead focused on whatever's going on up there.
As soon as they come out their enclosure, they know there's something there, and you just got to figure it out. And if you don't know, spend enough time with him, you're like, oh, he's just looking around at a cloud. It's like, no, there's something there that we cannot see, hear, or feel, and they know all that stuff. Yeah, so I think they're very intelligent.
Super cool. So I know everyone's probably dying to ask. So how did you get into all this? I mean, how'd you get into the birds? How'd you get into raptors? How'd you get into snakes and stuff?
Well, the raptors was by mistake. I did everything was by mistake. I was just very fortunate to be at the right place at the right time. When I was about 15, 16 years old, my mom moved from Connecticut down to South Florida. A mother, single mom with 3 boys, and I was the oldest brother, and I was a pain in the ass. Can we curse here? Okay.
100%.
I was a pain in the ass, a little punk just doing stupid shit. And then I went to a pet store called Gold Coast Reptiles, and I hung out there every day. I've never been to, nobody in my family's into animals. I was never really into animals. Just never had the opportunity. Never was around it. Start hanging out there, and then I met the owner, Craig Tillum. And when I met him, for whatever reason, I was just fascinated. Like, this dude is like the greatest guy in the world. Like, he just has all these animals. He has nice cars. He has everything there. He has his own business. It was just like, I want to be like that. And it took a little while for me to just, be a pain in the ass and bother him, just like most of us did at pet stores when we were kids. Until, he took me, no pun intended, but he took me under his wing. And 23, 24 years later, I call him dad. My daughter calls him grandpa, and that's how I started with the whole reptile world.
That's awesome, man. And he's been doing, and Craig's been breeding beardies and everything else for at least 30 years.
At least, yeah. He's done everything. He has a lot of world's first and did a lot of stuff. When he was one of the few guys down in Florida that was doing stuff at that scale. There was a few guys out there. And he was definitely one. There's a lot of people that we know that as kids, they bought their first animal from him or learned something from the store, stuff like that, So he's not a social media guy. So a lot of people have no clue who he is unless you've been around for 15, 20 years. You really know who he is. But, he put me where I'm at, when I started with the reptiles and animals. with the birds, about 7 years ago, I started working at a Everglades park, and they had a bird of prey there, and common buzzard that had something was wrong with her feet. I didn't know anything about birds. I really didn't care for birds. I never was my dream. It was never like I want to do that. Never in my life. My goal was, I'm going to do my boas. I'm going to do my reptiles and do shows and travel and do that cool stuff. So these animals were there on my radar. When I was working there, the bird had her feet. I went to a friend of mine, Michael Gary from Flamingo Gardens, and he's like, yeah, she has bumblefoot. She's a very old bird, and the issue is very far along, so she probably not make it. And I'm like, you know what? The odds are against her. Challenge accepted. Let me see what I could do. And through his guidance, about 8 months later, she finally healed. And from there, then the obsession with birds of prey came about from working with that bird. And also another big part was Justin Igualada. He had an owl-named bird, and I used to hang out with him a lot. And I was just fascinated with him flying the birds and stuff like that. And that's how basically I got into the birds. And then when it came to the shows, a lot of my friends and close friends, they were doing gator shows or big cat shows and stuff like that. And nobody around was doing birds. And I happened to like really fall into it, enjoy it, and love it. And I'm like, this is cool. And I'm like, there's nobody else doing it like this. Let me go ahead and be able to do something with this. And the rest is history, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Especially birds of prey. Because those birds of prey, it's like that's an awesome one to be able to teach people about, because that's something everyone's pretty much familiar with. Like everyone has seen hawks or owls, or buzzards even for that matter in their area. Like it's something that people see all the time, may not know anything about in terms of ecology.
Exactly. And one of the things that we do know about them most of the time is stuff through social media, through just stories, not necessarily true, One of the biggest disappointments that I tell people is like owls don't deliver mail, Harry Potter's not real. And
yeah.
Little things like that we think the way they work a little bit, but they're really very different than what we are. And that's the basis of my presentation. It's not really good all scientific and find all their stuff or how they work. It's mostly the stuff that we know to understand them, to respect them, and not think of them as like the same thing with snakes.
Mm-hmm.
They might be scary, but they're scary because stories we've been told, not for actual incidents that we've had with them. Same thing with the birds of prey. Oh, it's going to take my little brother or kid. It's going to take my little dog away. Things like that, and it's not. It could happen with dogs, but it's not necessarily. That's not their main focus of survival. So, a lot of it is debunking little myths and just explaining what's real and what's not, for the most part.
Nice. And I imagine it's a lot. I don't want to say it's easier, but I imagine that you get a better reaction from the audience with birds, because even though people may be intimidated by them, there isn't necessarily as much phobia as there is with like snakes per se. Would you say that? Really?
You'd be surprised. I've had people that they see that there's a bird phobia, just like snakes and spiders and everything else, and through like scary movies and things like that, they will lose their mind. The hard part is it's almost like if you show one bird, for some people, you see them all, right? If you bring one snake out, they see them the rest, unless you go real deep into it. So that's why every animal that you present differently, and you still get that attention span. But there's people that have fear, or they've had bad, dealings with like a parrot biting them when they were younger, or a duck chasing them in the lake when they were kids and getting beat up, and they're like, oh, he just hates me, but they don't understand that it was a territorial thing, probably a mother with eggs, or that's his home. And we just want to be there. Doesn't mean that we have to be there, and something happens. So we can't be we can't be bad at it, our fault for it. We have to play the victim. And then that story comes bad. It's like, oh, ducks are bad because they chase you. And why they do? I don't know. They're just bad animals, so stuff like that. So that's what keeps it a little interesting, because, different ways they do, but you'd be surprised how many people are scared of them or have a bad idea of them from somebody else's experience most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Tell you what, I didn't have an appreciation for a lot of them until you like see a bald eagle in person and like up close, because You don't realize how big a lot of those birds are. You know, you're so used to seeing them, you know, way up high that you see them in person. You're like, those are way bigger than I expected them to be.
Yeah, bald eagles are a pretty big bird. And my biggest fascination is just how they're built for that specific thing that they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like an osprey's built. You know, they're bassmasters. They're specifically built to catch fish, and the way their feet are, the way their eyesight is, the way they hunt and fly, it's just like, man, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, they're like, you know, if you took a missile and a sniper at the same time and put them together, man, it's just.
And a lot of things that we do right now comes from birds. The way planes are built, the way aerodynamics are. You know, birds, people don't understand how they fly. Like, how can you just flap your wings and fly fast or slower? You know, we can't do it. You know, and there's just the way they're built to be able to do that. It's pretty amazing.
And thermals and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm just amazed at, like, every time I see your animals, or even if I'm just like the zoo, it's crazy the vocal range. Like, we see an owl and we think it goes hoo hoo. You know, they don't realize the extreme vocal range those have. Or like bald eagles have that high pitched whistle. Like, I would never expect that.
Like chickens. Bald eagles are glorified seagulls. And that's like another thing. Like, when we see Western movies, that we hear this big, powerful roar from an eagle flying around. In reality, it's not a bald eagle. It's a red-tailed hawk that does that noise. So
yeah, they're just using the sound clip.
They're just using a sound clip of a red-tailed hawk instead of a bald eagle. Bald eagle is more like chirping. Most eagles don't have that roar, or that we see as like powerful, that we see on TV. So it is. And yeah, all owls. I have a spectacle owl here, and one day when she was growing up, I went outside and I heard a weird noise, and I'm like, what in the world is that? Couldn't figure it out for the life of me. And it was the owl making a completely different vocalization I've never heard before. And then when she was just communicating, and I didn't even know about it. So yeah, and cool. Not so many different species. Right now we have 10 different species of bird, and they're so different. It's ridiculous how different they are. Some things are like, there's no way that is that. I'm like, yeah, that's that bird. Makes a big difference.
What's the day-to-day maintenance on those like? I mean, you go through a lot of rodents, yeah.
Well, they eat every single day. They eat every single day. My bigger birds will eat a large rat every single day. Other ones will eat small rats or large mice every single day. So every day they have to be fed. And though the diet is very variety depending on the time of year, if they're molting or not, between quail, chicks, rats, rabbits, you know, so it all depends. So it does get up there with a lot of, but the everyday thing is what hurts the pocket.
I can imagine.
You gotta go change their waters, you know, break out their enclosures. So it's like it's not like I said, it's very different than reptiles, when you could do it once or twice a week and you're good with it. With these guys, it's like every single day, some type of maintenance you have to do with them.
And forgive me for not knowing exactly how to phrase this, but I know, like, at a lot of the zoos and a lot of the bird sanctuaries, they'll take some of the raptors and they'll put them on like a pedestal outside.
Yeah.
Do you do something similar? Is that like that's a necessity?
No, that's a perch. Well, it depends, and it's called a perch. And yeah, if you want to display the animal in one area, you put them on there. They're not restrained, like, you know, they're in pain, like a shock collar or anything like that. It's the same equipment as a dog when you're walking your dog outside. You know, you have a leash and you have a collar. With bird terms, it's just called anklets and a leash. You know, so and justice and these which other equipment they have, and that's just to keep them stationary, safe, because a lot of them are not native to here, and we know how having non-native animals could mess up the wildlife here in Florida and a lot of other places in the country. So that's a place to hold them safe without them having to do anything. And yeah, we do it when we're cleaning or we're doing displays and things like that. Yeah, they go on a perch. When to them it's like anything else. Now birds are not always flying, and that's one of the misconceptions people have. Like, they have to fly all the time. That they don't. We just happen to see that one particular bird flying. But if there's no reason for food, mate, or safety, there's no reason to expend energy just to go, oh, it's a beautiful day, let me just go for a fly. It doesn't work like that. And these guys are used to doing that since they're young. You know, when it's time to fly, it's time to fly. When it's time to sit in their perch, it's time to sit in their perch, and it's just another day. Just like having your dog sit stay and let's go for a walk is the same thing.
Very cool. Very cool. I didn't know if there was some kind of like UV necessity or, because you always see them like especially, I remember at a couple zoos when I was younger, the bird enclosures always had like heavy shade and canopy, and then for an hour or two they take something out and stick it on the perch.
Well, those different places have different ideas how to keep them. Me personally, my bird cages have both. You know, they have their secure area to keep them away from the elements with their cover in their corner, and then the rest of the cage is wide open. So they get sun if they want to get sun, and they want to get, you know, a tan, they go get a tan, whatever they want, they have that option. And they have perches on the floor and the sides, everywhere else. So they could, whatever they feel want to do that day, that's what they're going to be in.
Nice. Yeah.
And they do have their favorite spot, just like chickens, you know, that they go to their favorite coop and go to their spot. These guys have their favorite perch that they're going to hang out and sleep in and get their best view. So they're all accustomed to that. But yeah, they do need sunlight. That 100%, yeah.
Yeah, so for everyone curious about keeping a bald eagle in their closet, not going to work.
Bald eagle's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work. That's a big animal. Very rewarding, but yeah, it's going to be tough in your...
Say, surely that's illegal too.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't meet the cage requirements. What are yeah, right? How big are your enclosures? Because I'll be honest, I don't think I've been to your new house.
No, you haven't been here. You haven't been. Yeah, you went to my old one where I had the dogs when I'm here. Depending on the bird, like some birds that have are real big, some are smaller. So it all depends on the type of species they are. My Eurasian eagle owls, which are my biggest birds that I have, those guys are on they're the 12 by 20 by 8 foot. They're called mews. Which is like a bird cage, which is a lot bigger. My smaller birds, like my little spectacle owl, my screech owls, and everything else are, you know, 10 by 12s or 8 by 12s. So different sizes for different species.
Yeah, I don't imagine you need as much space with the screech owl as you do with like Leo, you know?
No, not at all. Sometimes, and even the cage he's in right now, sometimes you sit there for a minute looking for him and he's in the corner and you can't even see him.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's very cool. Yeah, people are trying to watch the comments as it's going, and there's a couple different leads going through. Tava Server wants to know if you've seen the Mongolian steppe people use the golden eagles to hunt.
Yes, that's pretty amazing, man. What those people do, and that was, you know, that's like the art of falconry. And those they use golden eagles, and that's how those people survive. They need that animal to survive. The food feeds the animal, and the fur takes care of them for the hot winters, for the cold winters. So there's a lot to that those guys do out there. It's very tough terrain. It'll be a dream to go check it out, but I don't think I'll make it.
Yeah, I got you.
That's rough out there. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a little cold for us South Florida boys.
Yeah. No, I'll die.
Despite how luscious your beard may be.
I know, right? The only thing wrong will be my chin. That's it. But I'm also a falconer, so I do have birds that I do hunt with. And when we do hunting for them, that's their food. You know, when we catch whatever we might catch out there, squirrels or whatnot, that's gonna be what they eat. So, you know, it's not just let me just kill it and go away from it. It's like, no, they produce for themselves.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you. I didn't know, like, I was going to try and segue it at some point, but do you mind explaining the difference between falconry and bird abatement and just kind of the different avenues of it, if you don't mind?
Well, there's different roles with birds. Falconry, basically, you're able to trap a bird from the wild, right? It has to be first year bird, so he's still a baby. He's just learning how to live his life. You train him to hunt, you build a bond with that bird, you go out there and hunt with him. And once season's over, he goes right back to the wild. A very high percentage of birds of prey die within the first year of life. So when you have that bird that, you know, some people are like, oh my God, you took a bird from the wild, there's a big chance that bird was going to die, unfortunately. Once you take that bird, you're teaching him how to hunt different prey that will never hunt prey, that particular species sometimes. and you let him releasing a bird that's mature, ready to reproduce again into the wild, if you do it right. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot. I mean, when I get that bird, we'll get it usually in September. Then we go trap them, and for the next month, I don't leave my couch. Basically, we're sitting there with that bird in my fist. We're building a bond, teaching him that we're friends, that we're gonna fly, and then we go out in the woods or whatever we can and look for game. Abatement was very big in Europe, and they what it is like when we go to hotels or anywhere that we go, there's a gathering, and a lot of the grackles or pigeons or whatnot, or seagulls are, pooping in our food, pooping in our seat, or we're sitting down and stuff like that. Basically, you fly different bird to scare them away using their same thing as nature would do. Once that bird flies across the pool, every little bird that's going to be around there is going to take off. They're all federal permits. You just cannot grab a bird and go out there like I'm going to start clearing and make money on it. It doesn't work like that. It's not easy, but it's there's different levels to it as well. And different birds are better for different things, For me personally, I love red-tailed hawks. That's what I use for my falconer birds. That's what I go hunting with. And then I have my Harris hawks, and those guys we do abatement with.
Very cool. How long does it take to become an apprentice with the falconry stuff?
Well, you have to take here in Florida. You have to take a test. Once you pass the test, you have to find a sponsor that will sponsor you. And then it takes 2 years. You have to train the bird for 2 seasons, hunt with the bird for 2 seasons, and then your sponsor says, enough, I taught you well, whatever it is, and sign off on it, and then you can become a general falconer. And after 7 years, then you can become a master falconer.
Wow, 7 years. Wow. Now you said
at least 2 years to have your own personal bird.
Okay, and then that bird that you used for the apprenticeship, is that the same bird for the 2 years, or is it constantly different birds?
It could be up to you. I use 2 different birds. Every year I use different ones. I know other people that use the same bird for 2 seasons. There's no law which bird it is, but your sponsor will tell you which bird you're going to use. Mostly here in Florida, it's most likely going to be a red-shouldered hawk or red-tailed hawk. Mostly red-tailed hawks.
Very cool. Yep. Very cool.
So it takes a lot, and it's a lifestyle when it comes to falconry stuff, because you have to make sure you're doing your equipment. He don't need you, but you're actually hunting with the bird that is going to go out there. The first time that I hunted with a bird, I was freaking out, because once you do enough practices of him flying with you and you're spending time with him, it's like you go outside to the woods or wherever you're going to go, you throw him in a tree and you start walking. Then you hope he follows you. That's it.
How do you train something that you've captured to come back?
Time. Just time building up bond and reward. You cannot yell at them. You cannot you're not gonna correct them like we correct other animals. They don't work like that. If they have something that you cannot do, like you just have to work around that behavior to turn it around to where you're at. That's time taking, but it just takes a lot of time that he knows that you're a safe source of food, basically. But at the same time, you want him to hunt for his own thing and still be with you. So it was, for me personally, it was scary. Especially, I did my shows before I did falconer, which was backwards. So when I'm doing my shows, my flights, that bird always has to look at me to see where we're gonna go next. When he goes to falconry, that bird is he's hunting. So I was freaking out. I'm like, he's not looking at me. He's not paying attention. He's going to fly away. I was losing my mind. But my people were like, just relax. He'll come back. And sure enough, came back. But
it's awesome.
It's scary. The first time was definitely, it's always, I can't say it's always scary, but it gets you adrenaline pumping when you know that you could have an animal that was wild at one point, train him, be able to survive, hunt with him, and then let him go back into the wild and make more babies.
Super cool, man. Yeah. Super cool.
How has anybody used that for conservation efforts, like to be able to keep like healthy, thriving animals being released back into wild populations? Has anybody actually used falconry purposefully for that sort of
well,
thing?
There's a big story, and I don't want to say it because I don't know exactly 100% of the facts, but if you look on the history of the peregrine falcon, that bird was almost extinct at one point because of chemicals in farms where the eggs were the shells were very thin, they were cracking. And through falconers keeping those animals in captivity and breeding them, we still have the peregrine falcon. That's one of the biggest falconry that I'm aware of conservation efforts.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. So it's it could do a lot of good. In the right hands, it's a lot of good. Let me you guys want to see one of the birds?
How does keeping the owls compare to the Yeah.
Go ahead, what's the question?
I would say, how do the owls keeping the owls compared to keeping the hawks? Is there a clear difference in terms of like behaviors and sort of quirks?
Oh yeah, they're two different worlds, man. It's like keeping a coyote and keeping a dog at your house. Like it's just they're very different. Most owls, depending how they are, they're very easygoing. Some hogs, like they're different. Like I said, my hogs that I use are for my hunting that I use. So they're not used to being a bird that's gonna get touched and play with and be around people. They're weapons basically. Compared to my owls, I don't hunt with them, and we use them for our presentations, so they tolerate a lot more. Species wise and the way they're raised, and I raised them and condition them. They're completely different animals. Remember, they don't love you; they just tolerate us. I love him; he just tolerates me, and that's just how it works. But let me get Leo out here because he's getting a little antsy in his cage. Want to come on, bro?
Yeah, you can hear him. And Billy Jenkins makes a good point. It's literally night and day.
Yeah. Come here, bro. Come on. Let's come say hi. There you go.
You want to make him full screen, Justin? Oh, yeah. Look at him, man.
So this year, hold on, Leo. Relax. I got my little Yorkie around. Come here. Fix your feet. Come say hi. So this year's Leonidas. He's a 7.5-year-old Eurasian eagle owl. He is a big boy. Only weighs about 4.5 pounds, which to most of us doesn't seem like a lot of weight until you got to hold him with one hand. Then he gets fairly heavy. But he's one of the largest owl species in the world. He's a big boy. He has big feet. Let me see if I can show you guys there his talons. I don't know if you guys can see him really good.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Those guys hurt. He has about 500 pounds of pressure per square
inch. I can't imagine it would take a whole lot of. Yeah, it's not going to take much, I'm sure, to break the skin with those bad boys.
Not at all. It sucks. It sucks. But their talons, they're their tool. When they catch their prey, those talons will penetrate the animal's body, and that's how they get their kill. It's through their talons. But they're pretty amazing birds. And me and Leo have a very good, very close bond. I spend every single day with him. His whole life, it's only just been a few days without him being next to me. But he's very curious little chicken wing here.
Too cool, man. Too cool.
Right now it's in molt too, so it's loose. Every year they go through a molt where they lose their old feathers and grow their new ones. Get out of here, Max. And that's not lunch. She's my little dog.
That swivel head just cracks me up. It's like a robot.
That's the thing about them. Most people think that they could turn their head 360 degrees, and if they turn their head 360 degrees, they could only do that once in a lifetime. It's not true. But depending on the species, they go between 180 to 220 degrees. And the reason they have to do that is because their eyes, position over here. Their eyes they don't really have eyeballs. Look over here, Leo. They have more like eye tubes. So their eyes are placed in their head. So in order for them to look around, they have to move their heads. If we want to see the world, how now when most birds of prey look at the world, just put binoculars on, and you have to do the same movements to be able to look around your surroundings, and that's how they move their heads a lot. Right, Leo? But they're always looking around their environment and seeing what's new, what's going on. What's up?
Don't they have one ear that's bigger than the other?
No,
Is that a thing?
no.
That's a thing. Is that a thing with all owls?
One ear is up and one ear is down, and they're right behind.
Okay.
They're able to listen around. Like these guys, is like the gray horn owl. A lot of people confuse him with being a gray horn owl, but our gray horn owls are a little smaller. Hey, come here. Come here, Max. I know. Because Max, get Max. Hold on one second. Get Maxie out of here because he wants to get Max. They're yeah. You guys get very a lot confused with the gray horn owl that we have here in North America. They have these little things up here, the little tassels and stuff. And those are actually for their for the camouflage. So if you look at him, the way they hunt is very different than other birds. Where these guys would just perch themselves in a branch and wait for the food to come to them, compared to other birds of prey that fly around looking for their food. That's when we see television and stuff. All the animals in the forest go to the old wise owl. In reality, it's just Uber Eats. You know, they just wait there for the food to come to them. So they have to have amazing camouflage. So up here, this is like little branches when they're in the tree, and they fit in perfectly with their environment like a big log. So most people think that these are their ears, but it's not. Just like little orange or tassels. Gray horn owls are orange, yellow eyes, and they're gray and black. Eurasians are orange eyes, and they're brown and dark brown.
Too freaking cool, man. Too freaking cool.
That thing's cool. Yeah, that is.
I like them. You can't have none of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a trip. Usually when we do presentations, he'll drink out of a water bottle from me. So every time he sees me do something, he's like, "Is that for me?" I'm like, "Nah, not that. You gotta fly home, bro."
It's crazy how you say he's only 4 pounds, but he's got to be what at least 2 feet tall, right?
Something like that. I'm only 150. Like, you know, you just look big.
Yeah. Okay. Sure, pal. Sure.
Yeah, he's about 20, 24 inches. He's not that. He's big. A lot of stories you hear from people that saw a bird that was 4 feet, like waist high when they're walking around. That's just fear. It's just like that snake that was 20 feet long and it was a little racer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My female that I have, eagle owl, she weighs 7 pounds. So she's almost twice as big as him, and she's big.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's a very big specimen, a big size for a species.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
have you done any breeding with any of them?
No, I do not breed any of them. There's enough of them around. There's a lot of people that do that, and I just do not do that. Because once I start breeding them, if I breed them, the animal, I'm never going to use it. I cannot do what I love to do.
Okay.
So there's no. For me personally, reptiles, yes. Birds, no.
That's wild. You're like, what do you do? Oh, I breed owls. It's like,
yeah, they won't believe me. They'll never believe you.
The most random.
Oh, one time, man, one of the birds cut my wrist with his feet, and I went to Publix. This older lady rang me up, and then she just looks at me and she goes, "Sir, things could be worse," and gives me this little Bible quote, and I'm like, "Okay, well, what's up with that?" And she saw my hand. She probably thought I was a cutter or something. And I didn't say thank you because I wanted to know it was my owl that scratched me like that. She wasn't going to believe that either. So
yeah.
I just got to take it like, yes, this is the way it is. So sometimes things like that do happen, which is pretty funny.
That's crazy, man. I never heard that story. That's a good story, man. I like that.
Yeah.
Dude, and it's crazy because like he's just chilling with you, but at the same time, the head is totally swiveling, watching everything, like just looking at everything.
He's calm, and now that I've came out, he hasn't been into the house in a little while. It's been raining down here every single day, so they've been outside. So once he looked around a little bit, he's like, "Okay, there's something going on." The dog's put away. He's like, "Okay, this is what we're doing right now." But even to get him to this part takes a lot of time because naturally they won't just sit here with, dogs walking around with other birds and everything going around in circles. So they won't be sitting here. But he's still curious.
Yeah.
The other thing is the echoes. Like we don't realize it, but sometimes if you ever see one looking straight back at a wall, we're like, "Why is he just staring at the wall?" And we don't realize the sound waves coming off the back of the wall. So he doesn't hear you from the front; he hears you from the back.
Mm-hmm.
So they turn around to do that. That's how sensitive their hearing is. So everything they do, there is a reason for it. You just need to know what that reason is.
Very cool. Do their eyes have the ability to see the screen or like TV? Because I know like with dogs, if your TV's not HD, like if it's an old school tube TV, I'm pretty sure, someone please correct me if I'm mistaken, that if it's a tube TV, the dog can't see it correctly, but like an HD one, they can see it perfectly fine, which is why your dog will respond to your HD TV, but your dog won't respond to your FaceTime on your phone.
That I have no clue, because I have a Doberman. She's supposed to be my security dog. And this beautiful specimen of an animal will sit in the couch and stare at the cameras all day long without moving. Until something moves in that camera, and she knows which camera is where, and she'll go to that spot. And she's never been trained to do that.
Wow.
She did it on her own. And it's an old little flat screen, like one of the first one on TV is probably 10 years old, and she could see through that, so I don't know. Now these guys, sometimes he does see movement on the cell phone screen, but he's been desensitized to cell phones, so he just sees it as just another object, nothing that is going to be there. It's just different things.
Nice. And the people want to know what you're drinking.
I am drinking Crown Royal Apple. It's my drink of choice tonight.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
I ran out of beer. I usually drink Modelo beer, but today I just have little apple drink.
I'll tell you, man, like we get beer at my work for like right when we close, we'll all crack open a cold one. And dude, the Especial, man, that's like the go-to. That's the go-to Modelo,
Yeah, I enjoy it. I'm not really a big beer drinker, so if it's not that, I go to the basics or just Miller Lite. I'm not a big craft beer person, because I'm not, it just doesn't do it for me. So I just stick with the Modelo, the fancy stuff.
I love it. Love it. Dude, it's so cool, man. He's just chilling, watching TV with you,
Yeah, that's it. Just keep an eye on the dog, the cat that's walking around the house, and just another day, just hanging out.
Have you ever had a close call with another pet, whether it be bird or otherwise?
Yeah. I have a Siamese cat. Actually, Jan, I'll bring the cat over here. You might get to see a different. Just look at his facial expressions when he sees it. You might change.
Here, make him full screen, Justin.
Bring him over here. I know. Give me. Okay. So these guys have been accustomed to seeing each other already. So he doesn't really care for the cat, just like let him go. But this beautiful cat here, Jack the Beanstalk here, he when he was a little baby, I had a sacred falcon and two Harris hawks that I was training for abatement with birds. So they didn't care about the cat or rats or anything else. All they wanted to do was just go after birds, and they were babies too. So the cat grew up with those hawks as like, they were just in the house. So I used to sleep with them and drink water out of the bowl. Like, didn't really care for them. They respected each other's boundaries. But once the cat got bigger and I had other birds, he thought that, yeah, we're gonna be friends. I'm gonna go mess with you. So there's been times where he came close, but the cat usually stays away. That's like one of the biggest dangers is when you're teaching a bird to hunt, and then you have other animals in the house. They all need to respect their boundaries. But with Leo here, he's been around everything his whole entire life. So to him, it's just as long as they don't touch him, anything could walk by him. Tigers, elephants, dogs, cats. As long as he's not a little dog, he does not like little dogs. That's for sure.
That's cool, though, man.
And that's
super
scary.
cool.
That's scary when you're doing a flight show, and somebody in the audience wants to bring their little purse dog,
ankle biter. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Man! One time we were flying in the Keys. It's probably one of the scariest days of my life. And he was in his perch on the other side of the event. He's flying towards me, and he stops and he starts looking at the crowd, but he had that look on him, and I'm like, what in the world is looking? So I started looking at the crowd to figure out what he's focused on. And he wasn't moving. He was just staring at it. And I see this lady feeding a baby with a little, like a leopard print blanket. So I scream, I'm like, lady with the baby, turn around, please.
Oh, man.
And she's like, well, I'm like, just turn around, you're going to lose the baby. So she turns around, and he didn't move. He's still staring at her. So I'm like, okay, so it's not her. what is going on? Well, there was another lady that had a little lap dog in her chest. And I'm like, oh, Lord, this is going to suck.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to run, so I'm going to gallop towards him. And I told the lady, turn around, please. And as soon as she turned around, he's like, oh, okay, there's nothing there. All right, where are we going now? And like just turned off like that.
Crazy.
But another 2 or 3 seconds, and he would have done what he does, So little things like that when we do in our presentations is stuff you have to look at. So I've never had an accident, knock on wood, or things like that. But there's been times that if I didn't have the experience with them or don't know how to read their body language, it could have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah, man, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the other equipment I was telling you about, let me see if it'll stand up for you. Now Leo has about a 5.5 foot wingspan. Oh, hold on. There you go. This right here is like their leash and their anklets. Like, as you can see, this is just like a collar and a dog. It doesn't hurt them or nothing. It's just me holding them like that. That's it. Just so it stays there. That's it. For some people think it's like contracting them or like a choke collar and things like that. And it's like, nah. It's just regular equipment we use on every other animal too. Right, Leo?
And how often, you guys obviously have those big gauntlet gloves. How often do you have to like replace those gloves? Like I know they're thick leather, but
it depends. I mean, if you like any other equipment, part of you take care of it, it'll last you a long time, especially with the talons not being too sharp. We don't trim their talons or nothing like that, but with the prey that we give them and their closure, they just naturally trim them down. So, I probably go through a glove a year, maybe, or every 2 years, if that. For these guys, my hunting birds, I might go through a glove a season if you don't take care of it. Just because it gets wet, it gets nasty, and this and that, and it's just, it's the outdoor stuff. But my presentation gloves and stuff like that, they can last a while. And
I just
hide, so they withstand. Now, you're not gonna hurt the talons that I gotta go through, but you still feel the pressure when they squeeze.
Nice.
That definitely happens.
Yeah, I didn't know if like you maintenance them, like use saddle leather, like saddle wash and stuff.
They're leather. Yeah, you really just wipe them down, but yeah, just like regular leather. If you let it crack, it's gonna go bad.
Yeah.
So I use this beeswax type deal. It's organic. That way, if the birds, for whatever reason, eat it when they're eating their food or whatever, it doesn't affect them at all. And then just once a month or once every other month, just leather it up real good, and they last. And these gloves are expensive. I mean, they're from $70 to $100 and something each.
Yeah, leather ain't cheap, man.
Yeah, no, they're not cheap at all, but they last you a while. So it's like anything else. Take care of it; they'll last. Get ready to go away. Any other questions about owls?
Is there any specific process as far as getting them adjusted to like crowds and stuff when you do presentations? Is there any sort of process you go through with that, or is it kind of just head first throwing them in?
From when they're babies, when they first come here, there's people around, the TV's on, everything. They're just getting accustomed to everything, their surroundings. Leo used to do presentations in a little bucket when he didn't even know how to fly, so it was used to everything else like that. And my daughter was just born. They're almost the same age. So she grew up with a toddler around. Not that, she was touching him and stuff like that at a young age, but, he hear the baby cry and everything else. So it doesn't, they're just used to it. They just are around it every single day for the most part. All the birds are. So when I first get them and I have a presentation, they're going to be doing it, They're not going to work. They're just going to sit there, but they'll be around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just getting desensitized,
Desensitize that, and the biggest thing is cell phones. That's the biggest problem that most people have with birds of prey is the cell phone, because nobody uses cameras no more. So you're holding a bird like I am right now. Somebody comes and puts a cell phone right in their face to take a flash and things like that.
Yeah.
That might spook them, but with these guys as their babies, the cell phone's right next to them, so they hear the phone calls when they ring out of nowhere, the flashes and stuff like that. So he'll care. Like right now, my cell phone, look, I can put the phone right here. And he's just like, what's that?
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's hilariously adorable. I love it.
So yeah, he don't care. You know, if it was another bear, he'll try to fly away, try to bite it, or just lose his mind over it. But
He looks like he cares.
He doesn't
Yeah.
care. Yeah, just get out of my face, but he's not moving. Not doing anything. Right? Don't be mean. He's like, not in front of my friends. Don't embarrass me, Dad.
Yeah, right. Too cool, man.
Well, Phil brought up a good point the other day when we were talking about cell phones. You were talking about infrared, and like you think the reason snakes seem to like dart when we're taking pictures of them is because of that infrared from the phone. Isn't that what you were talking about the other day, Phil?
Yeah, I think
somebody else brought it.
Yeah, somebody else brought it up.
Similar scenario.
Yeah, someone else had brought it up, and I had commented that I had personally noticed it with carpet pythons and with a lot of the geckos, because for me, you know, I only have the cell phone, so I'm trying to get super close, and I don't want to use the flash until the very last second because I want to try and get as much pupil open as possible for the photo, because after that first flash, the pupil's going to tighten up. Yeah. So I was trying to do it with red light and with black light, and noticing like what geckos and what snakes didn't like the red or the black light or what have you. Yeah. And then somebody was talking about how even if you don't have the flash on your phone, the phone is still letting out an infrared light for whatever reason, and they can still the animals can still see it, but we can't.
Yeah,
in terms of spectrum.
Yeah, that could be true. I mean, I really don't know. I look at it more as like if it's a nocturnal animal and they see a flash, they don't see that in their whole entire life. Mm-hmm. So that's gonna spook them. When you're at night, the reason they're doing things at night so they won't be caught. So when they see a light, they're like, "What in the world is this?"
You know, I would think with such sensitive eyes and ears and things like that maybe they'd be more like it'd be just overload for them, and that they'd probably drive them crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of those geckos too. Everything goes on eyesight. You know, these guys, their tools is everything in their head, their eyes and their ears. These guys could hear, you know, things underneath the ground moving around. So you know, the light makes a difference, but you know, they just have more different tools to be like, this is not happening, this is happening, than I think our nocturnal animal. But it could be true. I mean, we don't see it. So, but that'd be a pretty cool study, though, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's crazy. I forgot about that whole like hearing stuff.
Well, it wasn't until Phil had mentioned it that I noticed it.
Yeah. I've never paid attention to that because
I think there's a delay. That's why it keeps.
From their young, you know, I'm already, you know, desensitize them to cell phones. So if there is something like that going on, they just, you know, it's part of what's supposed to be there, you know. So it doesn't change for them.
Super cool, man.
Let me put them away now because my hand is getting numb.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
There you go. We got here. Come here. Oh, she's dying to be here. Come here. This is look at the camera. This is Diana. This is one of the babysitters of most of the birds and raised 2 owls under her belt already.
Nice.
She's shot on camera, but give her 5 minutes in
it. Awesome. Yeah, the next generation, right?
Oh yeah. She's definitely doing a lot of stuff.
What were you keeping when you were heavy into boas?
Mostly red tails. I did a lot of more stuff. BPIs, a lot of cow stuff. I didn't really mess around with sharp. Like I said, my father, I call my dad Craig, he had reptile stores and everything else. So everything we bred was mostly for that, things like that, just to supply and demand. A lot of Motley's, Arabesque. That's probably one of my favorites, more so Arabesque at the time.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, so I had a lot of fun with them. I do miss it. There's nothing like middle of the night smelling that baby goo from my little boys. There's nothing like it. So I do miss it, and sometimes I want to get back into it, but it's like, man, I got too much on my plate.
Yeah, it's the smell of victory, man.
Yeah, so now it's just, I mean, most of the thing I do right now is like little redfoots and little turtles and things like that I breed, but nothing out of this world.
And Craig had a whole line of hog islands too, didn't he?
Yeah, we both had a hog island, but the one snake that Craig had that was real big was the the Sunset Womas. It was almost patternless.
Really?
That project for a while, yeah, and that's talking 15 years ago already. I don't know whatever happened with that project, but yeah, he had Hog Islands. He bred everything. You know, when he had his store, so everything was we bred all of the stuff. You know, before incubators. I remember when I was a kid, we get all of our corn snake and king snake eggs and just put them in the pantry on the top, away from the AC. Put them there, and then one day just come home and there's babies everywhere. You know, bearded dragon is the same thing. You know.
Too cool, man.
Very different.
I remember last time I actually because I mean I see Craig like when he goes to Daytona and stuff, and I might see him in passing it here and there, but he doesn't know who I am. He doesn't remember me. But I remember working for Jay for a while, and that was where we got all the beardies from, and we would buy 150, 200 baby beardies from him, and he still had clutches for the whole season.
Man, it never stops. When he goes into something like that, man, he goes in crazy. But yeah, when I was young, I remember him producing, you know, close to probably 1,000 bearded dragons in his porch. Yeah. Same thing with Ackies and ball pythons and all the colubrids. And right now, what people talk about ball pythons now, 15 years ago, was colubrids. Every table you walk by was just nothing but corn snakes and king snake and things like that. You know, times just changed now to ball pythons because you keep 30 ball pythons in the same space, you keep 5 boas, you know? Yeah. But there was a time where everybody was doing colubrids, and he was pumping a lot of animals at that time.
Yeah, man. Too cool. So talk about some venomous, man. What do you got right now?
Well, man, right now at my house, I have, like I said, I have some Easterns, I have some Timbers, and that's about it. And I still have never produced an Eastern. It's still a goal of mine. But I haven't put the time in to do it, you know. Yeah. But one day I'll come across it. But I love. There's something about them. I'm not a Cobra person. As long as you know me, I've never owned a Cobra. Like I work with them, I can handle them and do things with them, but they just don't do it for me.
I get it.
But just something about a rattlesnakes that just the way they move, the way they hunt, just the way they are.
And especially Easterns, man. That's such a. I equate those to like. The tiger of the Southeast. Like you see a decent sized one, there's nothing more like commanding of respect, and I guess regal is probably the word that I use for it. But like there's you don't stumble across any other snake and go, oh my god, like that thing is just so majestic in a sense.
Yeah.
That, you know.
And I think a lot of that for us, I mean, we're in Florida, so you know you see them all the time. But it's still like an amazing animal. But I also think in the pet trade, you don't have 30 different morphs of them. Yeah. So it keeps them just a normal Eastern.
You don't need anything else.
You don't need nothing else. They're just so beautiful. And different locales are a little more yellow than the other ones, a little more white. And it's just a beautiful animal, man. And their size is just amazing.
Oh yeah. Super impressive. Yeah. You don't still have that one that we got from Matt and Jamie, do you?
No. That animal actually passed away not so long ago.
Okay.
Actually, I think it was like 2 years ago it passed away.
Yeah, because that thing was good size when we got it, you know?
Yeah, no, that was like a 4.5, 5 foot snake, man. It was beautiful. But it never did really good eating, at least here. And I think once I moved to this new place, everything changed, the environment changed, and she wasn't around. The one that I have right now was gifted to me by Ray Hunter. That's the one that I have, the Eastern that I have here right now.
Cool, man.
And it's about 5 feet, a good size one.
Nice.
Yeah. So my timbers are still little.
I remember when he got hit by one years ago.
Yeah. That's a bad bite, man. That is a bad bite.
Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, that's a bad bite. I wouldn't wish that bite on anybody. It's just so much, so fast. It's not fun.
Man. It's a high yield.
Yeah. And I think the same thing with that is you guys.
Is there anything with the?
Huh?
Sorry. Go ahead. There's a little bit of a delay. So
the locale of them will be completely different level of dangerous. You know. So if you don't know what you got or where you came from, it's gonna be a little big of a problem with it.
I think in a conversation that I had with Ray years ago, I mean, I was like a teenager, and I was talking to him, and I think he had mentioned the ones that I have here in my area, which is in the very bottom corner of South Carolina on the Georgia border on the coast. The ones we have here, you know, up into like Charleston and stuff, they have a much higher neurotoxicity than other areas.
Yeah, I've heard that about the eastern Santa Timbers. Like the higher the elevation there is, the stronger the toxic is. And it makes sense. You know, everything has to die a lot faster up there than down here.
What locality are your game breaks?
Mine's came from Ray got this for me. I think it came from the west coast of Florida. So that's where that one is from.
Cool. Awesome.
So it's not as crazy as the ones you guys up there. My timber came from North Florida, so that one is that one's spicy.
Nice.
And he's a little worm that just wants to kill anything that goes near him. He's one aggressive timber. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a North Florida that's 2 years old.
It's hard to beat a pink cane break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where's yours from?
Oh, I got a North Florida one it's a captive bred from North Florida parents, and it was a gift from Marcus, and dude, that thing is so spastic. It thinks it's a Western.
Oh my god.
And like
I was stuck at 5-6 feet.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Is like he's growing at a decent rate. I feed him appropriately once a week, and dude, when that thing is like 5-6 foot, dude, he's gonna be such a pain in the ass.
It's gonna be a scary snake, man. That's
yeah,
a scary snake.
Yeah, but I'm happy because it has that textbook cane break look.
Yeah.
Which for Florida, for Florida. So
yeah,
it's good.
I love the white. My little one has a nice red stripe across his back, just very gray. I mean, I love him, man. I love that thing. I could look at him all day long, but he wants to kill you. He can't even stand there for long. He doesn't strike too much at the glass, but he knows if you're in there and he sees the tongs, like, oh, we're gonna get fed right now, and he starts just patrolling his little cage, and it sucks. It sucks. When I'm out of town, like it sucks to have somebody experienced enough to deal with it little. Even though they're small, it's just different.
Yeah, man, 100%.
Very, very different. But I know there's a reptile. It's not venomous, but I brought one of my little prize, little Jules possessions. You guys want to check it out?
Always.
There's this little guy right here.
Oh man, look at that!
A little
wow
tortoise that one of my very close friends, Mike Lorette, gifted me last season, and I'm in love with it. Yeah, these guys are just amazing, man. Just so much.
Just look at that shell, man. There's nothing like that in the animal kingdom.
No, like it's crazy. It is crazy, and they're so different, each one of them, and just the way they are. I mean, I'm obsessed with these guys. I'm really like one of my favorite tortoises is definitely these guys. They're so amazing. So this is Loretta. But yeah, we got a little reptile in there.
It's so cool, man. Like to think that how much bigger that thing's gonna get.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, obviously radiators aren't giants, but dude, that's gonna look so cool in the next couple of years, man. Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, and you know what? Here in Florida, they're not too hard to keep. I mean, the diet is very strict, and I read an article not so long ago about their shells that humidity does a lot to keep that smooth shell. So, you know, keep them humid indoors when they're this size, and you have a nice smooth shell with all the pyramiding. You do all right. Obviously, with diet as well too.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Super cool.
Yeah.
Do you
Do
you still have the kookaburra?
Yes, I have the one you met with Stevie. Stevie passed away
my condolences.
about 3 years ago. But now I have Marty. Marty's still around. I keep him at my friend's Blake's place, and that bird's a trip, man. But another funny, dumb story that happens with me. Things that happen. I live in Fort Lauderdale, And a few months ago, I got the city came to my house. Lady knocks on my door from the city and open the door. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, we got complaints about you. I'm like, okay, well, why? She goes, you have monkeys in your yard and they're waking up the neighbors. And I'm like, excuse me, ma'am? She
That's
goes, yeah.
awesome.
And I'm like, I've had everything you could think of has been in my house except a monkey. And I'm like, give me 1 second. So I go grab my book of all my permits, grab Marty, go outside and give her my book of permits. I'm like, listen, I get inspected by FWC, USDA, and US Fish and Game for all my animals, crocodilians, venomous, conditional, everything else that I have. And this is the monkey you're thinking about. And she just gave me this stupid look like, excuse me, sir. So I made him do his laugh. And she goes, oh, okay, well, have a nice day. I'm like, okay. So once that happened, I'm like, you know what? There's going to be more problems. So then I brought him to my buddy's house that he lives out in the middle of nowhere where it won't bother nobody. But yeah, I got a monkey complaint because it's a kookaburra.
That's
These
awesome.
things are loud.
They are loud. They are very loud. And the thing in him, he was the narc, man. That guy will snitch on you. You know, that's the thing that pissed me off because I have a window in my kitchen. And you come home late at night from the bar, just want to make yourself a sandwich at 3:00 in the morning. And here you have damn bird police over here screaming his lungs out because there's somebody turning the light on at 2:00 in the morning.
That's awesome.
And I get the dog going, and then everybody wakes up, and you're like a raccoon in the kitchen trying to eat a ham sandwich, and he snitches you out. That everybody knows there's somebody around, no matter what.
That's awesome. Our good friend Scott Iper down in Australia, he just messaged. He says, "Is it a laughing or a blue wing?" I assume it's laughing.
Yeah, it's a laughing. Yeah, from my understanding, there's only a handful of blue wings in the country. I don't know how true it is. I never really looked into it, but all the kookaburras I've raised 10 of them already, and they've all been laughing kookaburras. Yeah,
super cool, man.
They're cool bird, man. That animal has they have attitude, man. They definitely have attitude. They don't like you. They'll let you know. They bite hard. They'll snitch on you. They're loud. They're a trip, man. I love working with them though.
Yeah, and they'll eat damn near anything they can catch, right?
Yeah. There's, I mean, Fred Garwald, the legend. You know who he is, Fred Garwald. He has one. A few of us got together and gifted him one a few years ago, and he lives in the middle of West Palm Beach, and one or 2 days his bird wasn't eating. So he calls me on freaking out. I go, hey, he's not eating. I don't know what's wrong with him. I offer him food, this and that. So I went up there to check him out. This little bird was eating every single anole that walked by the cage. So he was stuffed.
That's
when
awesome.
We figured out that he was eating the anole, so it's like, hey, you'll be all right. Just give it another week or two. There's no more. You'll start eating your food. So yeah, they eat anything. And they're violent, man. They'll catch. We'll give him little fish or little mealworms, or when he catches a wild anola one night, and he'll beat the hell out of it against a branch. Then he just swallow the whole. Even when you give him dead prey, he'll just beat it up against that branch hard. He kills it instantly, and then he'll just swallow the whole thing.
They're
cool. Almost like a parrot. They don't
like miniature pelicans.
Yeah, they don't use their feet for nothing, just to stand, just like a parrot. But that beak, that's a weapon. That's a weapon for sure.
Super cool.
I like
Very
it.
Cool.
Just not in this house.
and they're fucking adorable.
When are you getting the cassowary?
When am I getting a cassowary? Oh man, the day Phil's 6 feet tall.
No. Oh, I love
cassowary, man. That's a big boy animal, man. I've had the opportunity a few times to get them, but I don't have the space in my property here right now to have them. And to me, I don't. It's a beautiful display animal if you were open to the public, but to have it at home with kids and everything else is just, that animal is dangerous. It's legit dangerous. I seen him kick, I seen him jump, I seen him do a lot of things.
Thanks to Phil and Matt and Jamie.
Yes, those are my people. So
thanks to them, I'm obsessed with them now.
To the cassowary world. I love those guys, man. I appreciate them a lot. But yeah, they introduced me to those people that they go to. And also met a few of them in San Diego and Texas area, and people keep them different ways, but it's just not for me. But I will get one before I get a parrot. That I do admit.
Yeah, I feel like a cassowary is way more your speed than a parrot. I do.
I agree. It's just space, and do I want to deal with it? It's a lot to deal with.
So Billy Jenkins wants to know if you've ever messed around with shoe bills before.
Do people even keep those?
Yes,
that a thing?
just not here. In the country, there's only, I believe it's only 3 of them in the country, 3 or 4 of them. And we're very lucky enough that there's 3 here in Florida at the Tampa Lori Sioux. There's 3 of them there. I think there's 1 out in the West Coast, wow. I believe. So I've never been able to see one in person, work with one in person, or anything else like that. Not yet. But if the opportunity comes, that's definitely something that I would love to have. My next bird that I will really would love to enjoy it will be a secretary bird. Those things are amazing animals.
Dude, that's too cool, man.
Too cool. Would be, that or a southern ground hornbill are the two on my list.
Yeah, and I don't know about the secretary birds, but there's a good handful of people breeding the southern grounds now. I know Matt and Jamie were talking about looking into that too.
Yeah, there's a few people doing them. It's just getting a hold of them to get on the list, and money. You know, a lot of the animals these birds are not cheap, man. They're not cheap, and their maintenance is not cheap. Their enclosure is not cheap. So you need to be financially ready to get something, that crazy. Ground hornbills will probably go from $6,000 to $10,000. That's just for the bird.
Yeah,
and next thing you know, in 1 year you got double that in caging and food and stuff like that. It's you have to be prepared for it.
Yeah, I know a lot of them. It's got to make the zoo rounds first, and if none of the AZA places want it, then they usually offer it to like guys like us. But
that's if it's born under AZA conditions.
Oh, okay.
So there's probably people that have it, and I know a few people in their personal collections they have them. They're not impossible to get. It's just having the right space, the right financials, and being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So,
can you imagine walking up on a cassowary in the wild, dude? I would piss myself.
Well, there's only one. I've always said there's only one way an animal can smell fear, and that's if you have to change your shorts. And I'll be changing my shorts.
Well, it's funny, man, because like my boy Elliot in Queensland, he does a lot of ecological surveys for the job that he does is that ecological surveys and relocating animals from like construction sites and stuff. And dude, he sends me videos of him like just walking through the bush and like he'll just stop and there'll just a cassowary comes out, looks at him, goes, "What's up, bro?" And then just keeps on walking. And like that's some scary shit.
Yeah, but you know what? That's for us it is, but think about somebody from another country coming here and watching an alligator crossing the road. It's one of those things where we underappreciate the wildlife we have because everything we want is somebody else. But when you go to their place, I've had some people come from other countries and I want to see a corn snake. You're like, what? And they see one and they lose their mind.
Yeah,
First
man.
time I saw a copperhead in the wild. I was in Oklahoma. I lost my shit. I'm like, holy shit, they're real. They're not in dust cups.
That's awesome.
They're actually real copperheads in the wild. And that was pretty cool. So
that's awesome.
We'll be shitting ourselves. And then he comes over here, not him because he's used to animals, but somebody else will definitely like, what in the world is this?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's something about walking up on the closest thing to a velociraptor we'll probably get.
Yeah,
it's a little different.
I mean, we just know about that one, but I ain't looking up. I look up and you see this ostrich about to peck your forehead. So those are big birds too, man, or a harpy eagle.
Those things are freaking nuts.
Yeah, those things are amazing. Let me take out my next bird if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, of course. Do it up, man.
This guy. Let me see. This here is Caesar.
We need to do a cassowary episode, Phil.
We'll try and make that happen.
My fear and obsession is just it's got to happen.
All right, we'll try and make that happen. We'll get Matt, Jamie, and Lewis to come with us, and we'll do it up.
Ooh.
Oh man, look at that!
This here, what's up, bro? This is Caesar here. So what's up, Caesar? Behave, be nice. This is Caesar. Caesar is a auger buzzard. They are native to Africa. This is beautiful red tail. He's not a red tail hawk.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, man.
This is one cool little bird. It's not many of them here in the state of Florida. I think there's only like 2 or 3 of them in the state, so you don't see them very often, right? But relax. He's very skittish. Jenna, grab Max. Hurry up. I got a Frenchie that thinks he's a damn dragon. Relax. So a lot of cool stuff about this bird is if you guys like football, NFL football. This is the bird that they use as the Seattle Seahawks mascot.
Really?
Not a Seahawk. And not a hawk. It's actually this little guy right here. So if you see their games and you see a hawk flying in their games, is this species right here. Now, he is a buzzard. Now, when we say the word buzzard, a lot of people look confused and they're like, that's not a buzzard, that's a hawk. Technically, yes, on both ends. We here in North America use the word buzzard as a slang term for vultures. But a vulture is always a vulture. So if you go to Europe, anywhere overseas, hawks are considered buzzards. That makes sense?
Very interesting.
So he right here will be, they'll probably call him auger buzzard because he's from Africa. But if you take a red-tailed hawk over there, it'll be like a red-tailed buzzard or a red-shouldered buzzard and things like that.
Wow.
Caesar's about 5 years old. He was the first hawk that I acquired and trained. He's done a lot of work too. He's done a lot of videos and photo shoots and a lot of flight shows for thousands of kids all over the country. He's done a lot of stuff. He's a cool bird, but he's one of those guys that has his own personality. He before we do any show, I need to take him out, make sure he looks around, gets comfortable with the settings. Like right now, you see him, he's like, "What is going on? What happened?" But once he gets settled in and he sees everything is good, then he's just big old chicken wing, right? Relax. I'm saying nice things about you. Don't embarrass you. Yeah, you. He's very vocal. There's a picture of him right behind me, we're just looking at right there. Right, that's you.
Yeah, and that's the story on Instagram I posted. That was him, right?
No. That was my tawny eagle named Sarabi. That was Sarai, my tawny eagle. She is in Virginia right now. Relax. Get on, grab Sadie. She's up there, and I don't have her here with me right now.
Okay.
And she's huge. That bird is huge. That bird is like 3 times bigger than him. Bigger than Leo's, my biggest bird.
Wow.
That's one big old bird.
So now, how much does he weigh?
He weighs in a whopping 2 pounds.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And let me see if I can show you his feet, his talons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he's only 2 pounds, man. It's not a lot of weight, but it is. Like I said, they got hollow bones. They don't have jets to fly. So, they still have enough weight and size to capture whatever they want at the right size.
Too cool, man. Too cool.
Look at bird. So on my days off when we're not doing nothing, basically this is what I do. I'll sit down watching TV and then just touch him, touch his feet, touch him all over the place. That way, when he comes out in the public, he's not freaking out. There's people around him and things like that. It's just a normal day for him. This is what we do. So he's very desensitized to a lot of things. Right? That's you on the camera. But him, even with his cell phones, he's tough. Doesn't care about his cell phones. Right? Just that's all the good things. Spending as much time with him, you can desensitize him to a lot of different things. Right?
Super cool, man. Super cool.
And he lives in the African plains. So this guy lives with spurt eyes. Right?
Nice. And then was he captive bred or no?
Yep, he was captive bred. Yep.
And then do you know like the locality of the parents or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I know he's third generation captive born, but I
Okay.
do not know the locality where far Africa they came from.
Too cool, man. Too cool.
This guy was actually born in Oklahoma. Leo was born in New York. This guy was born in Oklahoma. Stevie was born in Texas. So I get the birds come from all over the country.
Yeah, man. The best of the best.
Yeah. A lot of time, right, Caesar? Now, the way he got his name, like a lot of people asking the question, like how he got Leonidas and Caesar, and I'm into that, all that mythical stuff, and it's pretty dumb. When I got the phone call that I could actually purchase Leo, I was watching the movie 300. So that's how he got the name Leonidas. And Caesar here, when I got the call that I was able to purchase him, we were eating Little Caesars.
That's fantastic.
So that's how he got Caesar. So yeah, all my birds, all the animals. I'm very bad at naming things. Usually my daughter or some of the people that help me out and stuff, they name them. I'm bad, but I named one dog Sadie, and that's it. I'm the worst.
That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Right, bro? You good? Yeah, I didn't put him away because he's already starting to get he's usually in bed by now.
Do you
they're probably
cover
very
them
confused.
up?
The ones you keep indoors, do you cover them up like a parrot or no?
I don't keep nobody indoors.
Okay.
My everybody's outside. When we travel, they're in almost like a dog crate. It's called a giant hood that is covered for two reasons. One, so there's no gaps for them to injure themselves and keep them calm. They can't see nothing. That keeps them calm. That's what they use on falcons and stuff. You see things like this. It's called a hood that goes over their head. Their beak comes out through here.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and that covers their eyes. If they can't see you, for the most part, they're usually calm. This actually, to give you a reference, like this is, I will use this for a bird bigger than Caesar. This one here is for a golden eagle.
Wow.
So you can see the head difference on these guys.
Yeah, you forget how floofy their head is.
They always make me think of always makes me think of them wearing like bras on their head. As stupid as that sounds.
That's funny. But yeah, that's what you put that over their head, and for the most part they'll stay calm because they can't see nothing. They just, relax. But when they're outside, it's they're open cage. News. Yeah.
Very cool. Have you ever had a native, for lack of a better word, predator try and get at them and lose?
No. Unfortunately, 2 possums attempted it, and they don't have heads. They tried to go into the wrong cage, and no, that's it. Caesar, he actually not too long ago he ate a razor here. I walked into his cage and there was a half-eaten razor that he ate. So,
wow, good for him.
They could do some damage, yeah. They could do some damage, but I've been very fortunate enough that the way I have their cages set up, my property is, and I don't have a lot of predators. My biggest fear is humans. With birthday balloons and things like that. Not too long ago, there was a birthday party somewhere not far from here, and they had the happy birthday balloons get stuck in the power lines, and one of my birds was freaking out. She was freaking every day. I walk in there and she was just losing her mind, and I couldn't figure out why it was. Like, nothing's changed, nothing's been new, she hasn't been touched. And then I go inside her cage to see what's going on, and I look up and there was 3 balloons hanging from the power lines, and just that stressed her to death. So then I had to get up there, call the light company to take them out and things like that because she was about to hurt herself. So things like that are my biggest concerns. Holidays, I don't leave. 4th of July, New Year's, with the fireworks. The pops and that stuff does not bother them at all. They could care less, but it's just the other trash that comes back down that might go into their cage or hit them or things like that. That's
falling debris.
Yeah, falling debris. That's probably one of my biggest concerns. And then, neighbor puts rat poison out there and could kill. They die here and things like that. Like those are my biggest concerns. Besides that, is pretty safe. Anything that goes in there is not gonna come out. Every bird that I have here is strong enough to take out whatever could get in there. Hey. Yeah, so that's about it with those guys.
Cool, man. So, are you still doing stuff? I mean, you were talking about the bears. Like, are you still doing a lot of like predatory mammal stuff?
I'm doing everything, man. I'm all year round. I travel a lot. I'm on the road a lot. I do help one of my great friends, Dexter Osborne, with the Grizzly Experience. He does educational presentations with grizzly bears. So I'll get on the road with him and help him out. I still once in a while do stuff with Jimmy Riffle with the gator presentations and things like that, and I have my own bird stuff. So wherever there's a show on the road or anything like that, I'll go. I'll do it. I enjoy being on the road.
Very cool.
Yeah. It keeps me busy.
Nice.
Yeah. And what's going on with you? What you? I think last time you told me you were dealing with what was it? The house snakes? Was that?
Yeah, that project crashed miserably. I wound up having a couple animals not make it, and then I wound up giving away adults to friends just because my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I know.
That was a rare project, but
yeah,
I think stuff like that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is that all of our stuff was wild caught, and we didn't have a lot of control over how they were taken care of before they made it stateside.
Oh yeah, so you're already getting
that was one of the biggest problems. And I know a lot of those animals went to friends and stuff, and they made great pets, and they were fine. But like in terms of keeping them long term, I know Marcus still has one of the black houses, and that was the other thing too. Is that the ones that we got that were quote unquote black, they really weren't black. They were like a slate gray color. And from the information that I gathered from friend to friend to friend was they came out of Benin, but that particular phenotype is not indigenous to Benin. It's indigenous to Liberia. And apparently there was something about walking across the border and that kind of thing. So I think they were just doomed from the get-go because they had so much time out of the wild before they got to, Marcus and I, that it just didn't work. But him and I just got a whole group of Cerastes.
Ooh. Oh yeah, so you post those guys. That's dope.
Yeah. So Marcus just redid his venomous room, and dude, it's awesome. It's a freaking laboratory. And
not surprised.
Yeah, right. Exactly. With him, not surprised.
Yeah.
But we got 29 animals in total, and they're all wild caught. And I think of the 29, I think 25 have already eaten perfect, and it's been like 2 weeks.
That's promising.
Promising. So we're hopeful.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see those babies.
Yeah, man. And
the best thing being wild caught, you got the good odds of hitting that albino or melanistic one.
100%, dude. Well, it's crazy because there's such an arid species. They're so dry. The temperature in Egypt, I mean, these are Egyptian. I'm trying to talk to the exporter, find out really what locality they are, just so I can get a better grasp on seasonal weather variants and stuff. Yeah. But when they got to Florida, my room is probably about 30% humidity. Marcus's room at the time was probably a little higher just because his room is a room within the garage.
Yeah.
So the room had only been built for a day or two before we put the animals in there, or maybe longer. I can't remember. But they all shed like that because they're like, oh my God, there's humidity. There's humidity. I'm going to shed my skin. So
and they were good sheds too, probably.
Yeah, they were perfect sheds, perfect horns. Yeah, and it's crazy because him and I are just texting each other pictures like, look how much blue is on this one. Oh, dude, look at how much pink is on this one, because they're not in the wild and they're not covered in dirt anymore.
Yeah.
So, dude, the colors that are coming out is just intense. So.
You know what? I think the same thing when gabooms get imported, or the rhinos, and you soak them for a good hour and you take them out, and after their fair shed, golly, that's a beautiful animal, man.
Yeah, man. Get all that
so ugly coming out that box.
Yep. Get all that jungle skin off.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful, man. And congrats on that, man. That's
thanks,
that
bro.
looks promising, man. And that's a beautiful snake too.
Yeah. And everyone's asking like, oh, how long before you're gonna sell them? And it's like, well, the point is to keep them and get them good, and then kind of decide what we want to pair and how we want to pair them, and kind of go from there. So it's gonna be a long road ahead of us, but I feel way more optimistic with these than I do with the house snakes.
Oh, you got good eyes. For that many animals, you have very good eyes.
Yeah. So.
Then you got the right sex ratio and everything. Patience, and you get that nice, beautiful captive born animal.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be worth the wait, definitely.
Yeah, man. Totally. Those little babies popping out of the egg with little horns.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Legit death noodles.
Legit death noodles. Yeah, hell yeah, man.
What does Smitty keep? What do you have?
A little bit of everything. A lot of Baird's rat snakes. A handful of corns. Handful of chondros. Some Boiga. Some Brettles. I just got some. I got a group of the steppe rat snakes, the Lafayette. Those are pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Smitty is the Baird's king of the South. And I can confidently say that because of Smitty and our shows, that people not only want Baird's rat snakes, but they know what they are.
You know, yeah.
And that's the coolest part, man. And like I see people chiming in on the chats and stuff like, hey man, I'm getting my first Baird's rat, or hey, I can't wait to go to the show because so and so is gonna have Baird's rats. And like they're super duper underrated. And I think it's super cool.
And the color variation is so wide.
Oh yeah.
That's a beautiful, beautiful display snake, man.
Yeah, mine are always out, at least most of my adults.
Yeah, just walking around. Yeah, they're used to. That's beautiful, man. That means they're happy. Happy babies.
Yeah, man.
That's good, man. Yeah, some of those snakes, like I would love to have them, man, but that's why I like right now keeping out of the native stuff, because I don't have to worry about the humidity, temperature, and stuff like that. They're in my garage, in my room, my venomous room, and everything is going to survive because everything is native to the year.
Yeah.
I simplify it from those days when I was breeding, because it's just too much, man. And I have such a fear of heating elements with snakes, with anything that could happen, that I'm like, if you can't survive South Florida weather, like I'm just not gonna have you. So that changes. But I wish if I had more time and a nicer time to spend with them and stuff, those are animals that will definitely, in the right display, they're just so beautiful, so amazing. Hopefully one day my little one will get into it, but
I think we can almost guarantee she is.
Odds are, but man, she's a different girl, man. She loves her crocodilians. That's her thing, man. She has her little crocodilians and then her owls, and then that's what she's that's her thing right now.
You're keeping crocs right now?
Yeah. If you give me a second, I'll show you one of them if you want.
Yeah, man. I mean, don't go losing fingers late at night or anything.
Yeah.
Go for it.
If I die, bro. It's on live.
It's all part of the show.
It's documented.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on one second.
Ladies and gentlemen, he did it out of his own volition.
Oh, they didn't read my text for me.
Man, I didn't know he was keeping crocodilians at home. That's pretty awesome.
I've become so incredibly smitten with the rhino rats, man.
Yeah.
They're just so goofy, and they've become like my disposals. So if I have like extra fuzzies and stuff because I thought out too many or whatever, like they would eat until it was coming out of their mouth and they could not fit in their body anymore. Like they're freaking monsters.
Yeah, man, and they look great.
I'm trying to grow some pothos clippings to throw into the they're in that small chondro rack that I had Sean build. They've now been moved into that just because I felt bad for like 6 quarts were just a little tight for, well, pretty much all of them, but you know, the male and one of the males and the female definitely needed the extra space. So
cool, man. Very cool. And dude, those Diones are just, dude.
Man, I need to get that female, that Beijing girl out in the natural sun so you can truly appreciate the freaking just antique color she has going on.
Yeah, man. Antique is the perfect word for that.
I offered her some food today. She refused. I think she's in shed, though. So that little baby ate, though.
Nice. Good shit.
New male Mexican bears ate. The that Olympia Canyon male from Chris ate, and he shed. Cool. He looks real good. I'm trying to get some weight on him, ASAP because he's pretty twiggy.
I'm back.
You're back. Good.
So here, another one of my little gems that I appreciate. This is a gift from a good friend of mine, John Heidecker. He produced this guy, and I'll make a guess what this little guy is. I'll give you a hint. He's not from Florida.
That's not a speck, is it?
No, it's not.
It is spectacled.
Nope.
Yakare?
Nope. Anybody in the comments could give a hint?
I want to say it's not dark enough to be a black.
No, it's not a black. No, I wish.
Okay. All right, let us have it.
This is an African dwarf crocodile.
Really?
Yep, Osteolamus.
That's awesome.
This is little JJ.
Super cool. What did she say? JJ in the house?
Yeah, he's a good little guy. I've had him since he was about 2 weeks old. Came to me here.
Awesome.
Doesn't need the house, but he's a good animal. Almost behaves somewhat like a spectacle, like a caiman, like very quick, very agile.
Right.
But definitely the attitude of a croc.
Yeah, man. The more you look at him, the more you can tell that it's definitely not a caiman.
Yeah.
You know, that white mouth on the inside, those face markings. Oh, yeah. Super cool, man.
And how old is he now?
He's only 2 years old, man. This is actually one of the smallest of all the crocodilian species.
Yeah.
His mom was like 4.5 feet, and his dad was probably pushing 5.
Wow. That's awesome.
They're small. Yeah. I like this guy.
That's too cool, man. And so unique, too. Like, you never hear people having that.
Yeah, that's why that was definitely not my first guess.
Yeah. It's I was very fortunate to get this guy, man. Like I said, a lot of my stuff that I have, I've been very, very lucky. I'm blessed to have some amazing mentors and good friends around me that has put me in the position that I'm in. I'm very grateful for a lot of them. Especially like some of my people that helped me out on my presentations. Jenna, Snake Princess, you see her Instagram. Nick, the animal guy. Ari Fauna Troy, he helps me out a ton. Jimmy Riffle taught me a lot of stuff. Obviously, Craig, Justin Igualada, me and him are like brothers. We fight every week, but they're still my boy no matter what. Dexter with the Bears, he's taught me a million things. So I've been very fortunate. Basin of Bells, those guys that I'm here because of them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Ryan Cox wants to know if they're more terrestrial like freshwater crocs.
Yes. From my understanding, they spend more time on land than they do actually in the water, and they're a very nocturnal animal. When they get older, full grown, like right now, you can see his eyes are getting dark, but when they're full grown, their eyes are almost like completely black. But they're very terrestrial animals, yeah. They spend a lot of time on the offland, in muddy in the Congo, from where this guy comes from.
Awesome.
Yeah. But they're definitely a very unique species to work with, man. Very unique. They're just different. They're just different. I mean, I've kept alligators for years. That's all the caimans, the dwarves, and all that stuff. And there's definitely very different. A little more rewarding. Just nothing's gonna be like an alligator with I hate using the word tame, but just a little more docile if you put more time into them than these guys.
Yeah.
So I truly enjoy keeping these guys around.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that, he's got his mouth open. He's obviously not pleased with what's going on, but he's not thrashing around. He's not rolling. He's not whipping his tail, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't do any other presentations. We don't take him out just because of his rarity. But, there's not a lot of them around in the private sector. So he stays home. But this is one of my few that I could say is my pet, The other animals are, they're my coworkers, more to say.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Great way to put it.
So, but yeah, let me put this guy back, and I'll be right back in 1 second.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's super impressive. I had no idea he had that. So, and dude, like I
have
can't
always
emphasize.
wanted a dwarf caiman, man.
Yeah, dude, they're awesome. Like I see like robbing them up in Massachusetts, playing with them, and it's like those big giant adults that are just giant dogs. I'm sure they're not actually puppy dog tame. I mean, they're still crocodilians, but you know what I'm saying.
Just wish I had more space to devote to such an endeavor.
Right.
Because if I'm going to do those, I'm going to do it right.
Of course.
That's why I need to get Travis de Lagerheim on to talk about dwarf caimans, because he did the article on them in the second issue of the magazine.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm going to talk to him about his setups and stuff too. So.
Those guys are good. Those little caimans are good. And the good thing is they stay small, so you keep them for very long periods of time without having to have this crazy 100 by 100 foot enclosure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it, man. I mean,
I've heard they're a lot more high strung than the dwarf caimans. They're more high strung than other stuff. I've heard they kind of have a reputation for being a little more.
They do. I think they do,
spazzy.
but I think a lot of them don't get worked with so much, and they get so. I don't know. This is my personal opinion, and my personal opinion only. I think that we don't give him the same respect as a bigger one because he's not going to hurt you. So the time that you will put in it for the fear of hurting you, you don't put it as much. I think.
I can see that.
So in some cases, that's why, because most people that have them will never be able to keep them properly. They'll have them in a small, 20-gallon fish tank for a year or two, and they just grab them whenever they can. They don't let them relax, calm down, and teach them because they're so smart, man. All of them are tremendously intelligent. You could teach them so many different things between their names, different behavior cues, and everything else. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch Chris Gillette with those gators out there, and a few of those guys that have those alligators doing some crazy things.
Yeah,
and crocodiles as well. Yeah, we're just thinking they're dumb because they have a parrot brain. But like I said before, man, if that animal could survive without social media, internet, they're not stupid. They're just built to do a certain thing, and that's what they're built to do. They don't have to do a trick.
Yeah, and I've been bit by a 3-foot smooth front, and dude, it was fucked, man. Like it was so fast, and like I did everything by the book, and it was so fast. I got like 25 or 30 puncture wounds in my right hand.
Oh man!
And the worst part about it, yeah, well, the worst part about it was in like a 100-gallon enclosure, right? And because I was putting him back in the enclosure, it wasn't my animal, and he just swung around and grabbed me as I was exiting. And the worst part was I had to take him back out. After I bandaged my head, I had to take him back out and drain the tank because it was just blood. Just the water was red. So like that was the worst part, was having to redo the entire enclosure.
That's the beauty of it, man. That is the beauty of it. That sucks. And he knows he got you once too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I already tasted that meat. Gonna happen again.
And it wasn't. It was not.
Don't come in here with that weak ass shit ever again.
Yeah, it was literally.
I know, right?
I could not get mad at the animal at all because it was literally just a pop, like don't touch me, bam, don't do that, and that's all he had to do. So
You were probably more upset that he called you a pussy when you dropped him than actual bite.
yeah, right.
But it's happened to me, man. I've been bit by alligators before.
You remember that video of? Remember Steve Irwin getting bit on the hand by that alligator that one time, and he didn't. This is like he had like no reaction to it almost.
No, that guy was cold as ice. But listen, I've had things happen to me during a live show, and you can't do nothing about it. Like you have to just go with the flow. Put your hand in your pocket, finish the show. I had Leo one time. He put his talon through my hand in the middle of a show, and I couldn't do nothing about it. I blew out my ACL in the middle of a show, and I still haven't. Yeah. You can't. The show must go on, man. After the show, yeah. But when that camera's on or that crowd is in front of you, that's the last thing you want to do, man, is get bit by a snake where you're telling little kids not to fear snakes. And you scream at a girl. It's the last thing you could do. Yeah. It defeats the purpose. So, but that's the fun part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, so where can people find you?
Well, my best place to find me if you go to my Instagram, Birds and Exotics of the World, on Instagram or .com. You see my website, all my animals are there. We do everything you think of, man. Leonidas, he did that last DJ Khaled and Drake music video cover. My Vulture Simon, he just did a video with Kodak Black. I've done everything you could think of, man, all over the country, birthday parties, photo shoots, music videos, baby showers, weddings. You've been
baby
to weddings,
showers.
Yeah, I was there for that wedding.
Leonidas was the best man for Matt, and my other Jamie was Maya. She was Jamie's maid of honor.
Yep.
And Leo actually was a ring bearer too.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so we've done anything.
That's cool.
From education to entertainment, there's very few things that we haven't done. The rules is as long as it's respectful situation, then we'll do it. And we do private events, everything you could think of that we could do something with what we have is we're able to do it. Just contact me, send me a message through Instagram or by email, and that's about it. Our staff is my guys that I have with me are intelligent. They're very good. They're good with people. They're good with the animals. A lot of them have been around for a long time where they've seen raise some of the animals or been around them. So, it's not I'm not a how can you say that with the scare factor and things like that. That's not my presentations.
Right. It's the education, the respect.
It's just the respect, the education on it, and you still have to do some type of show and stuff like that with the birds flying, things like that. But for the most part, that's it. It's not no wow factors basically. If you're not impressed by the animal, I don't know what to do at that point.
Yeah, no, I get it, man.
That's about it. But yeah, easy to get a hold of. I'm all over the place. We travel all over the country. We've been everywhere, so just hit us up.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we really appreciate you coming on tonight, bro. It was a great show. I know that people are loving it, the ones that are watching.
Well, thank you. Glad that I got to meet you, Smitty. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
Phil, it's always a good time, man. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. And, absolutely.
I'm grateful for you guys, and I wish you all success and luck with this.
Thanks so much, man. We really appreciate you coming on.
All right, buddy. Take care, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
I think, was that our first Snakes and Stogies that was predominantly not reptilian?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think it was a fun time.
In there. It's fine.
Yeah, we did, of course. Dude,
that's cool.
The African dwarf crocodile, like, if you're going to sprinkle a reptile in a show, that's the one to sprinkle. So.
That's that cherry.
Oh, yeah. Right on top of the sundae.
All right. Yeah, it sucks. There's like a delay on my end. Where
yeah, but it wasn't that bad.
3 seconds ahead.
Yeah. That's
like
all
I
right.
could hear, I said it, and then I could hear myself saying it on the phone.
We survived.
I'm not trying to interrupt people, I swear. I only interrupt Phil. And then I see this look of frustration on his face.
I never have a look of frustration with that.
So you'll have the audio version. If you want to see what we saw, you can check this video out on the YouTube channel, the Herpetoculture Network. This was episode 85 of Snakes and Stogies, brought to you by Puget Sound Pythons, right up here above me. Check them out. They just released a new YouTube video.
Yeah.
Some stuff they got hatching.
Too cool, man.
Yeah. THB will be back for episode 130 on Thursday. Thursday.
Nice.
No idea who we're having on, but it's happening.
Good show, man. I had fun.
Yeah, man. We'll see everybody later. New issue of
Good night.
Herpetoculture Magazine. Check it out.
Yeah.
Herpetoculturemagazine.com.
Emerald horned vipers.
Ophryaecus smaragdinus.
Arboreal deliciousness.
From the Crotalus Cowboy himself, Derek Dystra.
Love it.
Yep. All right, y'all. See you later.